The 70s were awful for gearheads. Muscle cars were dying. Emission laws were suffocating the fun out of everything. Suddenly, people wanted their cars to sip fuel rather than inhale them like a vacuum cleaner on steroids. Ford decided to respond to this hot mess by making the Pinto. It was efficient, but also as basic as a cardboard box, as exciting as a sponge, and yes, it often caught on fire. But while the rest of the world yawned at it, one man, Mr. Jack Stratton, looked at the Pinto and saw potential. Stratton turned his vision into reality, coming up with a turbocharged fiberglass-nosed Predator. It was called the Pangra, and it was utterly beautiful. The Pinto that dared to dream. The 70s were disastrous for American automakers for several reasons. The insurance companies made muscle cars financially ruinous. The EPA wanted to turn every fire-breathing engine into a wheezy lawnmower. And the 1973 oil crisis made fuel very pricey. Enter the imports. Volkswagen Beetle, Datsun 240Z, Toyota Celica, etc. Smaller, smarter, better on gas. American manufacturers scrambled to keep up. Cars like the Ford Pinto were their answer. Compact, efficient, affordable, but not exciting. But the poor Pinto became infamous due to a serious safety issue with its fuel tank design. When rear-ended, the gas tank could rupture, leading to fires or explosions. They say that Ford delayed making improvements due to cost concerns. The Pinto received a lot of negative press, lawsuits, and recalls. But to a certain Jack Stratton, the general sales manager at Huntington Ford Arcadia, California, saw an opportunity rather than a lemon. Now, Stratton wasn't your average car salesman, pushing brochures across desks. He partnered with dealerships to build a Pinto that could do amazing things. Stratton saw how light the Pinto was and that it had a short wheelbase, which meant that with the right tweaks, it could absolutely dance through corners. Unlike the makers of the badass Motion Vega we covered previously, he didn't want to fight the new rules. Instead, he wanted to bend them to his will. So what did he do? He built a machine that met emission standards, stayed EPA compliant, and still managed to go like hell. And as you're about to see, it looked like something designed by a comic book villain. From commuter car to competition killer. The Ford Pinto was offered in subcompact sedan delivery, or hatchback variants. As a result, most Pangras started life as two-door sedans or hatchbacks, though a few madmen ordered wagons. One of the most outrageous things about Pangra, apart from the fact that it was based on a Pinto, was how it looked. Stratton teamed up with fiberglass wizard Bob Crow and gave the Pinto a dramatic nose job. It had a long, pointed snout that looked like it had been ripped straight off a C3 Corvette. Pop-up headlights were added, operated by a non-sophisticated hand lever. The fenders were slimmer, the hood was smoother, and the whole front end stretched a full 10 inches longer. Enjoying this deep dive into the Pinto's transformation? Hit that like button and subscribe for more tales about the niche, rare gems like this one. The rest of the car? Still a Pinto. Same basic shape, same sensible panels, like the front half had just returned from Le Mans, and the back half was still picking up the kids from school. Many Pangras sported unique paint jobs and additional tweaks, as the kits sold to DIY customers encouraged personalization. You have a Pangra any way you like. Here's how. Build a bear? No. Build a Pangra. Some call the Pangra a car, others call it a menu. Buyers could choose from 4 delicious courses, or simply go for the whole banquet. Kit 1 transformed the NPC Pinto by adding the previously mentioned long, sleek fiberglass shark nose with pop-up headlights. Kit 2 got you Stewart Warner gauges, a digital tachometer, sporty wheels, and a set of fat tires. Kit 3 was where things got properly serious. Coney shocks, beefed up sway bars, lowered suspension, you name it. The 4th kit was the main course. A turbocharger from the mad genius A.K. Miller himself, complete with water injection and boost dialed up to 10 psi. The result? Keep watching to find out. You'll find the Pangra was shockingly quick for the time, but maybe you didn't want to build the car yourself. In that case, you got one of the dealership-built Pangras. They even came with Recaro bucket seats and custom consoles. These were the real deal, the unicorn collectors hunt today. But what about the numbers? Performance that defied expectations. Well, Kit 4 was the real deal, and it got you 175 horsepower from a 2-liter Pinto engine. It sounds weak, but stay with me now. It was strapped to a car that barely weighs enough to be considered one. Hence, the Pangra could do 0 to 60 in 7.5 seconds. In the early 70s, that was fast. Properly quick. It could run a quarter mile in the low 15s, on par with the 240Z Datsun and quicker than most sports cars, wearing twice the badge and triple the price. But what's even more shocking, the grip. It pulled 0.874 grams on the skid pad. That's not just good for a Pinto. It's better than a Porsche 914, and it did it all without intercoolers or boost control. Just raw mechanical turbocharged fury. It was a miracle it worked, and an even bigger miracle that it worked well. So yeah, it was cool, but how well did it do on the market? A cult classic rises. Of course, the Pangra never hit mainstream success. It was niche, weird, and built in tiny numbers. Up to 15 complete cars were sold, along with hundreds of kits. But here's the problem. A lot of people just bought the nose, so today, you'll see Pintos with shark faces and no bite. But the real ones? The dealer-built turbocharged race-bred machines. They're rare, they're special, and they're worth hunting for. Each one was different. Some were unpainted, some had extra tweaks. No two Pangras were the same, and that only adds to their mystique. Today, the Pangra is a rare beast. You'll find more unicorns in your local car park than fully intact Pangras. But a few exist, especially in Southern California, lovingly restored by enthusiasts who believe in the sacred power of going fast in a car no one expects to be fast. Rare, bold, and beautiful. The Ford Pangra was more than just an engine-swapped car. In fact, it was a raised middle finger to the smog-choked, neutered, soul-sucking cars of the 70s. It proved that with enough imagination and perhaps a turbocharger, you could still have fun behind the wheel. Stratton and his mad fiberglass fantasy built something more than a car. They built a legend. And while the world may have forgotten the Pangra, real enthusiasts haven't. Because in a time when performance was dying, the Pangra said, no, not yet. Thanks for watching. Until next time, see you on the road.